Okay, so now we've created a few initial calcs and we want to start visualizing things, right? We want to start seeing, okay, how can we create some valuable insights here based on what we have created? And I'm convinced you already can. Even though we've done some pretty easy stuff so far, you can already showcase some pretty good insights, because when you combine the model that you have with even just a few DAX measures, it's just amazing how much information you get and how quickly you can get it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just delete a few things and just get started creating some visuals and getting them into place. And as we do that, I'm going to talk through some of my just really simple best practices that make a huge difference very quickly to how your visualizations might look, right? Even if you're not, creatively inclined for making things look spectacular on a PowerPoint dashboard or a report, etc. These simple tips are going to help you. I've seen it before, and I'm convinced they can. Okay, so I'm just going to start with a blank page here, and I'm going to insert a text box. So you see here up in the insert ribbon, you've got a whole different range of things that you can utilize in your reports. And I'm going to just start off by creating a title up here in the left hand side called Sales Performance. I can change around a few things, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to change the text to Arial Black and then just adjust the box a little bit, right? And I might actually make this a little bit smaller. We'll make it one smaller. So just highlight it and change to 32. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to just create a few visualizations. So I'm going to use the visualization palette here, okay? And these are the inbuilt visualizations that Power BI have put in the platform, and they've been around since the beginning. And they're very, you don't really, in my view, need too much more than these. By combining all of these and shaping them in the right way in your report, you can create amazing insights, truly amazing insights. So really dive in. I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory, like pie charts, donut charts, tree maps, stat column charts. I mean, it's all stuff that you would have already used in Excel or in presentations you've done previously, but it's just become literally so easy to create things because it's just all like drag and drop, or click and drop. It's just so simple. So what we're going to do is we'll start off with let's say a donut chart, right? So I've created my donut chart initially. And then what I do usually is you can drag in certain things or columns or measures into the visualization, but I like to use this pane here. We can just drag the measures into the right fields, right? Or the columns into the right fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my locations and I'm going to go to name here, and I'm going to bring that into the legend. And then I'm going to go and grab my total sales, and grab it and drag it into the values. And you see here I'm dragging it into that box. And initially that's way too much information, right? It's way too much information. So what we would probably need to do is drill into this, or not make it so busy, right? Because this chart would be hopeless. And so what we probably want to do is add county in here and see what that looks like. So to me, that's a little bit better, even though that's still pretty busy, to be honest. Still pretty busy, but a little bit better. And then what we can do is we can change up the formatting. So all formatting of visualizations are done within this paint roller section, or this format section. And you can change up nearly anything on a visualization just by selecting it, going here, and then finding the correct thing. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to turn off the legend. Then I'm going to go data labels, and I'm going to go what I want is data value and category, right? So now I have a summary of sort of the key counties in my data set, and I can make this a little bit smaller as well. And look, to me, this is maybe even still too busy, but it's okay. It's giving us we've got obviously like four of these counties make up 50%. So, it's giving us a reasonable visual of what is going on. Okay, and then let's create a few more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look for my customers, and I'm going to drag my customers out here. That's going to create a table. I'm going to grab my sales, put it next to it, and then I'm going to turn it into a stacked bar chart in this section here. Now, one thing you'll notice as well is that all of these things get created automatically. I mentioned this right at the start of this course. The title gets created automatically by whatever you name things, and the axes get labeled automatically as well. And so that's why these naming conventions from start to finish across all areas of Power BI are so essential, right? Then what I can do here is, I'm going to copy and paste that chart, right? I'm going to copy and paste it. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. And I'm going to go in here and grab my product name and sub it in there. And that's a really quick fire way that you can generate visualizations by just a quick copy and paste. Okay, especially if they're similar. And then what you can also do on similar visualizations, I'm going to hold down Control, click both the visuals, then I'm going to change things up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some data labels at the end here, right? And I'm going to turn off the y-axis, no, the x-axis, sorry. And I think because we have the data labels in there, we don't actually need the actual axes there. And also, I mean, I also don't even think we need the labels on the side as well. So what I would probably do is I would probably take those out. So I could find those. Let's have a look down here. Title off. Yep. Okay. Because I've already got it so this is all personal preference, but I've already got the details in the title. It's pretty obvious. I don't feel like I need to clutter my charts anymore. I'm happy with the information that is already provided, and so then I could then change this color. Maybe I want to change this to a different color in this color theme. I'll show you how to change colors in a second, because I don't really love this color theme that they automatically give you inside of Power BI. Okay, so we've done this one, done these visualizations. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going and build up more. So this next one, I'm going to create a map, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize, we'll grab profits this time, right? I'm going to say, give me my profits. But at the moment, it doesn't know where to locate these. And what I've got here in my locations data set is I've got a latitude and longitude number. Now, the one thing with these latitude and longitudes is what you want to do is you want to label these as a certain data category, okay? It'll make sense. Once you select on it, it basically just means it's not going to sum it up or anything. If you label it as a as a specific data category like latitude, you'll see here that it will know, okay, I'm not going to, because it's a numeric number, I'm not going to do any sort of numerical calc here. I'm going to just represent this as, a one-off latitude or longitude number on a visualization, okay? And so then when I bring this into latitude and bring this into longitude, hopefully this will give us the correct data set from California, right? And so now I have my California profits of all of my different regions in the area, okay? And what I might do, let's just shrink this a bit up here, make this a bit higher, like so, and make this a little bit bigger as well, right? One of the other things I might do, and you could also do, you can do so many things in these formatting sections, right? You just got to really dive into it. So what you could do is you can change the, what do we got here? Change the data colors, y-axis. You can also change the sort of padding between the different bars. And so another really small thing, it just totally depends on how you want to make things look, right? Okay, and then we can come in here and we can change things as well. I also the title that has been created by that latitude and longitude isn't the most ideal. So what I would generally do here is I would then go and change the title. I'd say total profits by location, something like that, something a bit more generic. Maybe we want to go and make it store location, something like that. If that was all of our stores spread out throughout California. We can also change the size of the bubbles if we want. So we can come here. So for me, they're a little bit small for my taste. So I might make them a tiny bit bigger, right? Just to showcase them a bit more. We could also change the look of the feel of the background if we wanted to. So it just goes on and on and on what's possible. It's just a matter of having it play around in personal preference, okay? And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab my date. And now I also want to get rid of this hierarchy. I don't want the hierarchy in this particular visualization. I'm going to bring my sales into the values, and then I'm going to change this into a stacked column chart. And then I'm going to put this up the top here like this. Right? And I'm just going to make a little bit of space here. Okay, so we've got some good insights here, but what I want to do is I want to add a bit to it, and I don't like, this seems like automatically they're bringing up these axes titles now, which is a little bit annoying, because I really don't think that they're required in a lot of cases, but let's just get rid of that. But yeah, it's I'm sure that there was a reason behind the move. Maybe some more preferred it, so they decided to go with that than what was the default historically. Okay, so one of the things I want to do here is we haven't got any sort of filters. We're just looking at all the data from the beginning of time, right? And so what I want to do is I want to grab my year, and I'm going to create a slice out of it. Okay, so I'm going to put my year up here. I'm going to create a slicer. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to general and change from vertical to horizontal. Okay. Responsive off. And then now I have some years that I can click through. Okay. And I'm going to just do a few updates here. I'm going to get rid of the slicer header because it's pretty obvious what they are, right? And I'm going to change some of the background. I'm going to change it to sort of like a lighter gray. So we can then start filtering here by date if we really want to. So I can select a date and it's going to change to that specific date. Okay. So again, really simple stuff. And to finish things off, what I'm going to do is I want to have some key figures down the left-hand side here. Okay. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to grab my sales, and I'm going to show you a little technique that I have. I'm going to turn this into a card. So there's an actual visual called a card. And I'm going to just get this into how I want it to look first before I create any others. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to go reduce the text size a little bit. Okay, yep, that looks about right. And then I'll go to the category, make this a little bit smaller as well. Okay, so I've got sort of the size that I want. Maybe it's still a little bit too big, but it's all right for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down this side here. Fill up all the spots that I want numbers to go. Try and get them into line if I want. It's just I'm just pushing the arrows on my keyboard, right? And we'll just have 5, eh? We'll just have 5 for the time being. You know, it's so easy to change. And so I'm just going to then come across and fill in what I want to see. So I'm going to put my profits there. I'm going to put my quantity sold here. Then I'll put my total transactions. And here I might go, what was my average profit margin? What was my profit margin across this time? And then now I have some additional color to showcase when I make some selections here. Okay, so got to remember that I know this doesn't look that great right now, mainly because the colors aren't very good. I don't like the colors that currently are applied. I'm going to show you some tips around how to fix that up. But you know, we've got a good starting point here, right? We can click through a number of different things here and see some pretty good insights. There's still some improvements that I would make, and I think we should sort of dive into these as we sort of play around here. Okay, this is a slightly longer video, but it's a good one, right? It's got lots of good tips here for you. Now the next thing that you'll realize, say I wanted to click into here, what you're seeing here in my view is not a clear enough picture of what's actually going on. And the reason is because the filtering is different. The way that the charts are interacting with each other is not optimal. And what we want to do is we want to click on format when we clicked on a visualization, and we want to select edit interactions, because this will enable us to change the interactions. And so you see here that when I selected on that, it enabled me to change the sort of look in terms of what other visualizations look like when I selected something. And so I can click on this one and I can do exactly the same. I can just click around here and make sure that the look and feel is how I want. And basically I'm just creating a full filter instead of sort of like a pie filter, I like to call it. And so then when I've done those, I can click off, and then now that when I click around, you'll see that it's a bit more dynamic. It's actually showing individually what any selection is, right? One of the other things I might do is I might change these around a little bit, because I don't like how it goes from millions to thousands. And so what I'm going to do here is I can come in here and go to the data label, and instead of having it automatically figured out, I can just go millions. And so when the values are actually higher, so say when we don't have anything selected here, it will always be the same sort of format. One of the other things that we might do is we might create a bit more slicer, different ways we can slice, right? Now, if we just jump back to our date table here, this is where we might actually create a calculated column. We'll just see how we go. And I click on dates here. Let's see if we can create quarters. Now, in our date table, if we have a look at it here, we have a quarter and year column, but we don't have just a quarter column. Because what I want to do is I want to calculate 2018, but I want to be able to select, say, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, or 3 quarters, or whatever in that particular time frame. Okay, so what we don't want quarter and year. We just want the quarter. Okay. Now, what you could do here, you could do a couple of things here. You could create a calculated column very easily and just say, I want the first 2 letters of this this particular column. And then that calculated column would be quarter one, and then as you got to quarter 2, it would then be quarter 2. But what you can also do is you can jump back to the query editor, right? The Power Query Editor, and do it there. And I would probably recommend that, because it is much quicker to do it and much more robust to do it on the query side, rather than having some calculations going on in a calculated column. Because the data, then that calculation, if you do it in here, the data, the update happens with all of your other transformations, and you don't have some additional calculations going on. In reality, the difference is so tiny that it doesn't really matter. But I'm just sort of, I'm always want to tell you the best practice, so that you can, as your models really expand and you're dealing with much bigger data, you're actually following some best practices that where it will actually make a difference. But anyway, let's just work out how we could do this, and I'm going to show you this other really cool tool in the query editor in the meantime. Okay, so we've got quarter and year here. Now what I want to do is I want to add a column of just a quarter, and I'm going to do that in the ribbon add column, and I'm going to select a feature called column from examples. Okay, now this feature is seriously cool. What you can do is you can start typing in something like quarter 1, right? Quarter 1, and what it's going to do is it's going to try and automatically work out what you wanted based on what you typed. And so I just typed in Q1, and it picked up, okay, you might want the first few letters of this particular column, and then as I go down, Q2, and then it'll be Q3, etc. So very quickly you can create a whole range of different columns just by typing. It's pretty amazing. This is the simplest example of how to use this, but you can use it in many other ways to create columns of like a whole variety of different things related to your data set. Okay, and then I'm going to go OK, and now I have this new column of quarters. And then I'm going to go close and apply. So it's cool how you can jump back and forward to the query editor whenever you like, right? And you'll see now that this will appear in this dates table. It will appear shortly. So quarters is now part of this table. And then what I can do is I can just copy and paste this, okay? And then I'm going to grab that new column, quarters, and I'm going to sub it in for the year. Okay, and then now what I can do is I'm just going to make sure I can multi-select this particular one as well. So selection, I want to multi-select just generally with clicking. So I'll just click that off, and then what I want to do is I want to jump to say quarter 1, but then if I wanted to look at quarter 2, I could select that as well. And now we have another way that we can filter our data set by. Okay, so just for this part, I know this one was probably our longest video to date, but we've just covered basically a whole range of different visualization things you can do, how you can create visualizations, the almost unlimited possibilities with visualizations. It's totally totally up to your imagination what you do here. Okay, and so we'll round off here, and then the next one I'll just describe some of sort of my best practices here, just so you can get into sort of a mind frame of how you could potentially turn your current reporting or future reporting into something that looks and feels a bit more compelling. Okay, right, so let's jump into that.